What's up, guys? Today I have decided that I would do another round of answering what if questions from that one website that I once again forgot to link in the description, but I shall after I conclude the stream. And I'm not exactly sure which one I left off at, but I think I found my place given that I don't have a recollection of answering this one. So I am going to pick up from the question of what if you had the chance to write a best selling novel? Would it be a romance, mystery, or factual historical account? Well, given that I personally prefer to read stuff that's factual and nonfiction, I can imagine that I would opt for writing a factual historical account because I have experience with that. If I think of my journal as such, like everything that I write in it are my personal experiences, and my personal experiences, because they happened legitimately, I'm not dramatizing anything or exaggerating anything, then that makes it factual. It's nothing fictional about it. I'm a real person. So I would find that one more appealing and interesting to write. And given that I write for the sake of actually preserving memories, that makes it historical already, even though it's just for me. Um, but if I had to choose a topic to make a historical, factual account on, I'm not entirely sure, but I guess I would try to make it more family oriented, like talking about my family's history. So I'm not sure, but because I have experience writing my journal, that's what makes me say that I would go with the factual historical account. Next is what if you were excellent at a sport? Which sport would you choose and why? Definitely gymnastics, only because I feel like that is the one sport that seems most useful. Gymnastics pretty much works out every single fiber of your being. You need to be strong, you need balance, you need coordination. And I also feel like if you were to pick an athlete to integrate to your team, no matter the sport, I feel like the gymnast would be the most versatile one. But yeah, I also feel like it's a fun sport because who doesn't enjoy seeing someone doing flips, just balancing themselves, swinging around? That just sounds very fun. And for me personally, it would impress me that I have the physical capability to be doing all that. So I would definitely choose gymnastics. What if you could do one thing so well you could be famous? What would you do? This is a good question, but I guess I would like to be useful. So if I were to implement something that I am interested in and that I find fun and that I do not get tired of, I would say becoming a well-known meteorologist. So maybe appear on TV, have my own weather channel or something. So if it guarantees that I would understand everything about meteorology to based on the data and knowledge that we have available in modern days, then I would definitely choose that. What if you could have any job that you wanted? You know what? This is a tough one because the whole reason I didn't go to school was because I didn't want to go in there without really knowing what I wanted to do. But if I could do any job, I have always described it as being an independent journalist because I like telling stories, I like talking to people, I like learning from people. And I feel like that gives me freedom to not be, not have a pattern to my days. It's like I can tell that I have a schedule that's usually early morning. I go to some building and I know what I can expect. But when I'm doing journalism, it's like I may leave my town, I may leave my city, my state, my county, whatever, and I'm going to meet someone who's going to supply me with a story that's completely different. So I find that it would break from the monotony that my days just have. So I would say that would be a pretty cool job to have. What if you could invent a new food? What would it taste like? What an odd question, because I'm actually always making up recipes or just trying to experiment around. Well, I have a weakness for sweets, so I can imagine myself trying to put together an even more superior version to my favorite milkshake than I already possess. But I guess it would be kind of a dessert type of thing. Um, I'm not really wild about the kitchen, really. Like when it comes to cooking, I have a specific diet that I follow based on my physical activity, but it would definitely be sweet. That's all I can tell you. It would involve chocolate and coconut. I can guarantee you that much. But I guess my answer to that one is kind of disappointing. But seriously, I'm very simple. I'm not very creative when it comes to the kitchen unless I have like a vision to experiment with something specifically. But to answer the question in a short period of time, that's what I can think of. It would definitely be in the sweets realm. What if you could marry someone famous, either living or dead? Marrying someone famous, either alive or dead. Honestly, to tell you the truth, my crushes with famous people have been visual, of course, because I don't know anyone famous to really know what they are like. I would imagine that they're just people with people wants and needs. But if I had to settle for someone, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think about people like that. But I guess I can convert the question into which celebrities have I had crushes on? And this is going to open a whole embarrassing vault. But I guess that folks who I have considered attractive have been, shoot, I can't think of anybody who's in my wall. Well, I see Henry Cavill, I see Chris Evans, I see, you know, Paul Walker. He's defunct, so he fulfills that category. I say Justin Timberlake, but Justin Timberlake, I was never really wowed by him. I like him as a musician, but I don't really think of him as, oh my god, this dude is absolutely like, delicious. I don't find him all that. I also see Daniel Radcliffe. He's good looking. He's handsome. But if I were to choose from those guys, I couldn't tell you. Oh, I also see Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I don't know. Leo DiCaprio, which honestly, he's just there for decorative purposes. It's not that I admire him in any way. But if I had to settle for someone, shit, I would just go ahead and say Henry Cavill. Why not? Um, Let's see. What if you could wear one color for the rest of your life? Which color would you choose and why? Damn, that's a difficult question. I want to say navy because navy is my all-time favorite color. But the one color that I enjoy wearing a lot, I just so happen to be wearing it, which is royal blue. So I can see myself wearing that for the rest of my life. I feel like it's a navy, it's a dark color, which means it pretty much can match with any color, but royal blue, something about it puts me like in a better mood. But I would miss a lot of colors, that's for sure. Um, Originally, I wanted to say black, but it's one end of the color spectrum. Let's make it interesting. Let me see what you guys are saying. I don't want to be just keep going. Steve asks, "What if you had $1 million? How would you use it?" You know what? A long time ago, I made a video about if I had a lot of money, how would I spend it? But for the sake of bringing it up now, if I had $1 million, I would urge myself to save most of it. I cannot really tell you how much, but the first thing I would do is to take care of myself so that I can take care of those who I love as well. So my first thing that's hindering me a bit would be my car. So I would finish paying that off, which is like a few $1,000. And then after that, because it's been such a long time since I've been able to go to the doctor, I would go to the doctor just to have like a checkup on me and not have to worry about, I have a limited budget, so I have to skip seeing the doctor. I would take care of little things like that, just see where I'm at when it comes to the health status. Um, I do not really want to mess with a house just because I'm not entirely decided. I have not entirely decided where I want to live or I want to be at, so I ain't worried about that. Um, I would definitely help my mother pay off her car too. She also has a car loan. So getting rid of that means that our income would be with the jobs that we have right now. It's like it would help us save more and be a little more comfortable. Basically, to sum that up, get rid of our debts. That's the first thing. And then I definitely would be able to save guaranteed half of that. So I think saving half of that gives me a good opportunity to either invest some, like learn how to work with the stock market, which I have no idea how to do, but with $1 million, I could, well, a little less given that I mentioned that stuff, but that would give me kind of an opportunity to experiment around and possibly make it grow. Um, and then another thing I would do would be, shoot, I'm not sure, but I would definitely want to somehow help the folks who are close to me, who I know are struggling with some things, just to sort of alleviate them. Like there is someone who I know who has a medical bill that really worries her, and it's only like a few $1,000s. Like it's not even, it's probably as much as what I have remaining on my car loan. So I would gladly just give that away because I just see how much that, stresses her out. How much it is, how much of a burden it is for their family. So I wouldn't mind sharing. But the rest of it, I would really like to just save because this the present is so ever changing that I don't want to just be like, I'm a millionaire, I'm going to spend it like crazy. Because, I think you need to be wise about what you do with it. But, but I would also want to save some of that to for my immediate future being between 5 or 7 years. I definitely see myself being married by then and also possibly even having a child. So it would be great to have, like a few $1,000s for that. So yeah, honestly, it's one of those things that I can have an idea of what I would do with such a life changing amount of money. But at the same time, I really wouldn't know until I had it. Maybe there's stuff that I can think of that right now, because I don't have the $1 million, I'm not thinking about. But immediately, those are the things that take priority. So yeah, let me see. Someone else said something. What if the universe is really a subatomic part of a larger thing? You know what? I have always considered that only because there is one theory that says that the universe just keeps growing, and also that there seems to be, to put it in simpler terms, many layers to the universe. Like you have different dimensions or something. But if that were the case, I guess from a spiritual point of view, that would just tell me how, just what a shame it is that I don't have enough time alive to be exploring all that. Like, what resides beyond this planet, beyond what our eyes can see and what we as humans can experience in this atmosphere, our little blue planet. You know, it's pretty complicated, but for me, my biggest source of sadness about that would be not being able to be alive long enough to be able to explore that scenario if it were true. Like what what our universe is that we comprehend to be our universe. There's something beyond that we will not have an opportunity to explore in our lifetime. Let's see. If you were in Germany prison guard in the 30s or 40s, would you have been able to resist participating in the Holocaust? Honestly, that question is pretty tricky because I want to say that I can guarantee that my mentality back then would be the mentality that I have right now. But usually we are a product of our times. We tend to respond to what our times are. But if I'm guaranteed to be the way that I am right now, even though I would pretty much be taken down pretty quickly, I would try to do the right thing, which would be to not take part of that. I'm not sure how I would be able to save anybody from like prisons or anything, but basically I would be insubordinate. Like I would not want to when I go down, I don't want for my legacy to be I was the guard of a prison for these people, you know? So it's kind of a difficult question to answer because I want to get really complex with it, but I'm just limiting it to how I feel about it now as a girl from living in the 21st century where that stuff is just done. But I want to say that I would be trying to somehow be that one person who tries to facilitate the escape of the prisoners. See what I mean? Like I said, I'll probably fail. Someone's probably going to take me out because the um, Germany's resources would be too overwhelming for me to be able to even be much of a hero. But anyways, the most important thing is I would not want to take a part in that. So if I can either help people get out or just retire altogether, I will do one of those two. But if I had to absolutely settle for something, I feel like it doesn't, I'm not enough manpower to like ensure that enough people escape or to have a significant impact on them. So I think I would choose the quitting route. Um, but again, it's one of those things that because I've never been in that situation and it's not something that I'm thinking about, maybe the answer I'm giving now, if I were under that circumstance, I would definitely react differently. But it's fun to speculate based on how I feel currently and just the things that I know in general. Let's see. Probably not just the history would hint most people would join with the majority. If you could stain immortality but give up everything else, would you? Do you mean if I could be immortal, would I be immortal? If that is the question, I think this was one of the questions in the first round of um, what if questions. But if I could be immortal, I feel like I wouldn't want to choose that because I feel like at some point I would want to transcend. And I am a believer that there is a life beyond this realm. So to be alive forever, it's crazy. What does it mean to be alive forever? Do I get to experience every illness? Do I get to just be fine and healthy and just be witness to how the world just progresses or regresses, stuff like that? Um, I guess I would be excited to see what new art comes out, like movies and space exploration. How far do we get into that? But it's one of those questions that it's you can go with it so many directions with it that I haven't really considered. But just to give you a very simple response, I wouldn't choose it just because I would feel depressed that the generation of people that I was used to and grew with, they're gonna be long gone. And I know that I can meet new people who can make my stay in this life exciting your origin is very important. So to not be able to count with the folks that I'm used to, it would depress me. So I don't want to just be some kind of a ghost, like trapped in between times, if that makes sense. Okay, yeah, you meant obtain immortality, but give up everything else. Yeah. What if the doctor told you your husband got you pregnant with triplets? Would it worry you? Yes, it would worry me because number one, I can barely handle myself. Number two, the idea of having one child has always intimidated me. So to know that not only am I having children, but I'm actually having children, plural, in one round, and it's not one nor two or three, it would be very concerning and overwhelming. I am not financially ready. I am not emotionally ready. I am not romantically ready. And I am not mentally ready. So, but if I if that was my situation, I would embrace it. I would try having them. I'm not going to just walk out on it and just completely abort. The temptation would be there, but it's not impossible to make it. So I would welcome the challenge. And if I cannot handle it, well, I guess I have to just give them up. Which I guess, would it be more terrible to give up children to an orphanage or to abort them? Because I can tell that I'm not going to be able to take care of them. Conflicts. But anyways, I would try handling. I have faith that I would be able to handle it. Let's see. What did this little list have to say? What if you lost everything tomorrow? Who would you run to for comfort? Well, if I lost everything that I have, that means my mother would lose everything that she has, and she is immediately the person I think of going to when I have issues. So we're going to be needing each other. But I would go to her and she would support me and I would support her somehow. And after that, I guess I would recur to those who are close to me, like my best friend. I'm sure my co-workers would definitely uh, offer their shoulders for me to lean on. So yeah, I would say close friends and colleagues, because some of my colleagues are actually close friends too. What if you never had to work again? What would you do? If I never had to work again, first of all, hell yes, because it really sucks to be building something for someone else and you don't get to bring much home. Also, it sucks to not have your own schedule. Someone else makes your schedule, and if you have issues with that schedule, you have to suck it all up because it's either that or you miss out on your money. But if I had the opportunity to not work again, I would definitely take it only because I have I just, there's stuff that I would rather do with my day, and some of that involves helping others more directly. And something that I have always wanted to do has been, for very, very, very short periods of time, help the elderly. It's something that I'm just curious about. I hear that there's a demand for that, and that is something that requires people's patience. And when I think about it, when I am away for a couple of hours a day and I deal with older people, I can understand why some people get frustrated by them. But when you set aside the time to focus on them and not be distracted by stuff from the exterior world, then I think the job is actually not that bad. But I also would hope that I am prepared to deal with an individual who's like that, because it may also mean that I need to do, what can I say? Like, give them baths or something, or help them when they go to the restroom and stuff. And I'm not sure that I would enjoy that too much. But at least do the basics, such as maybe go grocery shopping with them or for them. I would love to do that. If they have pets, help them. If they have a garden, help them. Just things like that. Um, but also, I just would love to dedicate more time to my artistic side, because I get stressed and overwhelmed a little easier these days. I don't get to practice much. And that is something that if I have the talent, why not do something with it? Even if it's just for fun, I don't need to be selling my art. It's just something that I enjoy to do. It's like an escape for me. And just do the things that I normally don't get around to doing because I have to give my time to someone else. Um, and another thing that I would do is definitely not let myself go sometimes. Like sometimes I make stupid decisions when it comes to eating or the stuff to do around the house. I just postpone it. My car, I haven't washed it in like 6 months, and that freaking bothers me like crazy. I like to hand wash it and everything. So those things I keep postponing because my schedule is just so unpredictable. And when I do have days off, I don't want to spend them doing things that resemble work. So that's one of those questions that I have to think more on because I haven't really considered that that's a possibility for me. So I'm just focusing on being a workaholic at the time being, for the time being. So I guess I have to mark that one and maybe come back to it some months from now if I have matured on that question. But anyways, nothing is impossible. I just haven't really put myself in that mindset, if that makes sense. What if you could send a short message to the entire world? What would you say? Damn, I have no idea. So let me see if you guys posted something, because while I think about that one. If you were male, how would you charm approach yourself? That's rather bizarre. Well, first of all, what is the psychology of a man? But you mean if I were okay, I can interpret that question in many ways. You mean if I were a guy, what would it take to seduce me? Or if I were a guy and I knew myself as a separate entity, what would myself as a separate entity have to do to attract me? Is that it? I'm, I don't know why I'm tripping over that question. It's actually a good one and I want to answer it, but just throw a lifesaver at me so I can get my mind together on it. Oh man. What if a girl fell in love with you? Would you go for it or walk away? I would fucking walk away with it. I don't want walk away from it. Sorry, I don't want anything to do with it. Like, it's not how I roll. I am not interested in girls. I do not care for girls. I do not want to try girls. I do not feel attracted to girls. I have no interest in girls. So if a girl like me, honey, I'm going to be one of your female heartbreaks because I cannot take care of you. I cannot sacrifice my health and well being and happiness just to please you because you like me, have a crush on me, are in love with me. No, I cannot just give in to you. What about me? You know, I matter. So, to any girl out there who was trying to make plans with me, no, you're wasting your time. Um, what if you could start your life all over? What would you do differently? Holy shit. That is a tough question. And the sad part of it is one time I tried journaling about it, but I had nothing to really say. Honestly, I feel like that's part of life. You There's stuff that I'm sure everyone wishes they would do differently. So I guess what would I wish that I did differently? I don't want to say going to school because honestly, the reasons why I skipped it are just too powerful for me. But I guess a thing that I would do differently. See, the problem is that some of the things that I wish I would have experienced were a consequence of other people's decisions and other people's actions. So I'm not sure if I want to go in that direction. But because I don't have an answer for something I would personally do differently, I guess I would love for the circumstances to have been just right for me to have grown up with a father figure. Um, But again, that's not really something that was up to me, but that is something that I wish I would have had. So I'm gonna alter that question a little bit. What if you could watch a movie about everything that happened in your life until now? Would you enjoy it? Okay. So probably the first 3 years of it are going to be semi-depressive because of the stuff that happened. But then there would be some joyful parts, like the joy of I'm the new member of the family, so I'm the superstar. Everyone's just spoiling me, and there are pictures of me where my family would grab random objects and make clothes out of them with. Like, there was this thing that I was so tiny, I was able to fit in like this thing that looks like a handkerchief, but it's not a handkerchief. I need to find it. What the heck is it? I used to have one, like right up here. But anyways, and basically everyone would just dress me kind of funny, so it would be nice to see from a third person point of view what I look like. And let's see, that would be a happy time. Another happy time would be any time that we would go out and have ice cream, go to the beach and stuff, playing games. So the first 3 years would be mixed. It would be partly depressive, partly happy. And then from ages 4 until 10 ish, definitely happy years because I was with my mother, everything was going well for her, and everything was going well for me as well as a student. And my brother also seemed to be feeling better when it comes to his health. I'm not really going to get into the details of what happened to him because I really don't remember, but he had certain conditions going on that would make my life, or sorry, mom's life stressful, and then my life would become a little unpredictable. Like, where am I going? Who am I staying with? And this and that. But usually I would stay with her, but there were times in which I had to stay with other members of the family. But in between those times, there were good times and good moments and memories. Uh, but then, beginning ages 10 through, let's say 18, my adolescence, it was kind of a sad one. I'm not really going to dig into the details of it, but I would not enjoy those chapters very well. I would want to like fast forward through it because it would be particularly painful. And then between ages 19ish through the present, I would say that there was a lot of frustration and depression among that time, but I feel like I have overcome most of that. And now I'm just focused on building, and I'm far more confident in myself. And maybe that's what kept me from enjoying life earlier on as a younger person who was mostly alone and away from the family as well. But overall, I think I would enjoy the earlier years, and then the more recent years, I would loathe them to the point of just skipping over them. So I feel like it would be 50% a joy and 50% very frustrating. But that would be interesting because another reason why I journal is for that reason. I try to remember any detail that I can about my past, particularly my childhood, and write it down for posterity. You hit the nail in the head. Everything would point to participating in the Holocaust. I am no exception. What if you had a friend that you spoke to the same way you speak to yourself? Would that friend stay your friend? Yeah, absolutely. Because the way I am is I always ask myself, would I be friends with myself if I were a person outside of me? And I always say yes. So if someone spoke to me the way I speak to myself, it would be an absolute trip because I make a game out of everything. So to me, my best friends are the ones who make me laugh the most. So and express concern. So sometimes I show concern to my own self, and that's how I get myself motivated to get stuff done and go about life. What if you could change one thing about yourself? What would you change? I would change the fact that I tend to be the one who stands in her own way. Like, sometimes I have unnecessary self doubt, and maybe that comes from a lack of overall experience in life. But I think that's something that every human experiences. But I just wish that I could fix it a little faster, because some stuff about me is just getting ridiculous. Like whenever I have an idea and I always shoot it down like it's stupid, and I'm like, no, this is probably a life changing idea, but I'm not pursuing it. Things like that. Just being my own worst self critic. That's definitely something that I should work on. But it's getting better. What if you were getting married next year? Would you have a big one? Well, if I were getting married next year, first of all, what? But if by big one you mean a wedding, I would not have a big wedding at all. Like, I think I made a stream about it. My ideal wedding. I hope I did. If not, then I definitely have it pending. But I just want for it to be something just among close friends, intimate. So from my party, I only anticipate my mother being there. And I would consider bringing my brother as well, but pretty much there's two people who I can think of who I would want at my wedding. So I think the groom is going to have more people over than me. But I guess the thing that I have to consider is where would it be? Where would it take place? Because sometimes I feel like in a year a lot of things can happen. What if I am not living here anymore? So that's something interesting to consider. But when it comes to the celebration itself, ain't nothing much gonna happen. I'm just there about the paper, and I just want to keep going on with my life. Because honestly, I want something small just to like protect um the integrity of the event, because when you have a lot of people, I feel like you're not really getting up close and personal with them. So I don't like big social settings. I get anxiety. Where is here? If you mean where I live somewhere in the east coast of the USA. I'm not really interested in divulging my location, you know what I'm saying? Um, what if your fiance approached you with a prenuptial agreement? Is that a deal breaker for you? Well, this has been discussed before, and my opinion keeps changing on that all the time. But my favorite argument had to be the discussion I had with my best friend about it. And it was that a prenup pretty much would serve as a way to protect you from liability. And they had a really good point, which is if I die and I am indebted, why should that become your burden if I'm the one who solely got myself indebted in the first place? Say, student loans and credit card loans from his own separate individual account. So when it comes to prenup, I want to do it just because I feel like it forces me to absolutely be sure about what I'm doing and be absolutely responsible. But at the same time, I don't want to do it because it's pretty disgusting that marriage means that you're involving the government in your relationship anyway. So to have an agreement in which you officially turn your marriage into a business deal, that doesn't sound very appealing to me. So I guess on that one, I have to wait until my wedding day comes and see who the unfortunate guy is. Just kidding. Who the fortunate guy is and what his views on it are. But I'm prepared for it. And either direction. But for right now, I would not care for it. Like, no, don't oblige me to respond for your finances. See what I mean? But anyways, also because I'm not someone who ambitions much when it comes to material stuff, I just don't care, man. I just don't want to have anything to do with that. A sister works for what she wants. So I don't need to be keeping the junk that my husband just accumulates. What if your boyfriend said, to heck with marriage, let's just live together? I would do it because, again, marriage is kind of a business arrangement, if you ask me, but also to just live together would relieve you from the stress of stuff is not working out. I want to get rid of you, but to get rid of you, I have to get a lawyer. I have to spend money that hopefully I will have, but what if I don't have? And if I'm done with someone, I just want to be able to be done with them, get rid of them, and be done. Just be done, period. The meaning of the four-letter word done. That's it. So it doesn't mean that I would trust him less. It doesn't mean that I would feel that our relationship has less value because it's not officially recognized as a union by legal and social terms. But if we are going to live together, there are some rules that I believe we need to abide by. For instance, you are not a child. I am not going to maintain you. You have to be good and responsible with your money. It's like we're living together, we're sharing the same roof, but you have to be good about maintaining yourself, living independently as if I'm not there, and that you being good with your finances so that way we don't have any problems. Because a lot of the problems these days come from people mismanaging their money. I don't think it's fair that I do what is necessary to keep myself in good standing and you decide to be mindless and reckless and then I have to pick up after your mess. That's not cool. So at the first sign of trouble, you're gone. So that would be the condition of me living with a boyfriend. And I would hope that he himself would have those um, that mindset, impose that on me as well. And I'm like, sure, I will live up to my part of fulfilling my commitments, like the financial ones, rent and stuff. But if you cannot handle your money, we cannot be together. Um, let's see. What if you dropped everything to pursue your dreams? Well, I don't want to sound dark, but I really don't have any dreams. My only dream at the moment would be to really not have to work for someone else for so little. But honestly, I'm just very simple. I like to take life one day at a time, and I've never really ambitioned anything. So that question, I really don't have an answer for it. But what would I drop? I don't have anything, So it's a difficult question. I really don't have much to say on that one. I'm not trying to hide anything from you. I just really don't, you know. I think I saw a comment arrive. Let me see. What if I became what if I become supervillain? How to tell my family that I am okay? Wait, what? What if I become supervillain? How to tell my family that I am okay? I'm not sure on that one. If you can elaborate on this scenario, help me out with that one because I'm not sure that I get the question. I'm going to be bold and ask, what if your marriage got stale after a couple of years? Would you welcome other things to spice up the marriage, open relationship, swinging, threesome, etc.? Um, if my relationship became stale to where it needs a rescue, I don't think that involving other people into my personal life is going to make it better. Like threesomes and open relationships. To me, an open relationship, and I did a video on this a long time ago, an open relationship is just a way of telling someone, I want you, not just you. I want to make sure that I can go home back to you because I don't want to be alone and lonely and live life alone completely. But at the same time, I don't want to miss out on more action. But I still want you, but you don't completely belong to me. I don't completely belong to you, but we're together, but we're not committed. What the fuck is that? That bothers me. I'm someone who likes to be absolutely committed. If my relationship is dying, I believe that I am very creative and I am very open to things, but as a couple of two people. We don't need to be involving other people in our personal lives, even if it's just temporary. If it's a sexual problem in the relationship, I am sure that we can figure it out between the two of us to make it work again, to spice things up again. But if the issues in the relationship are something outside of that, then I would have to know what the challenge is to really know how to address it. But but yeah, bringing other people, just no. There is a good reason why I really really limit the number of people I become personally acquainted with, and it's to avoid disasters. So even if it's just for fun, it's not my idea of repairing a relationship. So I would be pretty unwilling to do that. So, but that was a good question. I never really thought about it from that point of view. I had only shared my opinion on open relationships, which just call it that you are a swinger, that you are someone who is casual, period. But to say that you actually have someone, but you're still seeing other people, no, the idea of seeing someone is for you to consider them for something more permanent. I would hope. That's the way I treat relationships. So, yeah. Did someone tell you about your ability to make everyone believe you, make everyone listen to you more agile? Not in recent memory. Not that I'm aware. Um, so does this mean you can't separate love from sex? I mean, what it means is I only would consider having sex with someone who I am in love with. So I am not going to be going around having adventures. I don't need that. I only need one person. And if it's sexual satisfaction that I'm looking for and my partner is not giving it to me, and there is no way to repair that, I just consider that the end of the relationship. Someone out there will once again become sexually compatible with me. I don't have, I'm not afraid of starting over, put it that way. So if the guy that I am with at some point becomes no good, I am not afraid of getting rid of him. But fortunately, I don't make decisions like that. I'm not accelerated like that. I like to just give it time, try to mend it, but I never pursue someone else to try to fix the issues that I have in my relationship. It's like my relationship is with the person who I'm in a relationship with, not with people from the outside. But of course, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. It doesn't mean I'm absolutely right. It's just the way that I feel comfortable dealing with things. What if you had a free ride? Would you get a PhD? No, only because the academic setting is no longer appealing for me. I love school, I love to study, I love the idea of teaching, but I enjoy not having homework, nor stress, nor reports, writing to do for someone else, work cited, just stresses like that. I enjoy not having to do that. So I would really need to be unable to keep myself alive, and a PhD is the only way to go to do that. I just don't dig it like that. I've never dreamed of having a PhD, so what ifs. What if you had to choose between a wonderful romantic spouse to whom you would be married for only a few years or a boring unromantic spouse for your entire life? Which would you choose and why? Honestly, I would choose the more fulfilling spouse, even if it's only for a few years, because there's nothing worse than being stuck with someone who makes you miserable. So I think someone who is choosing the boring, unromantic one is afraid of being alone, and no amount of frustration is worth that burden, in my opinion. So there's no way that I can be satisfied with my life knowing that I'm attached to someone who's absolutely fucking boring. No, not doing it. What if you used every moment of your life productively? Then that means I lived a productive life? I guess the question is more of how do you ensure that you live a productive life? I don't fucking know. Let's skip that. What if you had to choose between money or no love, or love and no money? Which would you choose and why? Well, because I am kind of a hopeless romantic, I want to choose love over money because again, a sister works for what she wants. So I would make sure that I have at least some money before I get involved in love. Put it that way. What are your basic requirements for a male? Basically, the stuff that doesn't really meet the eye on the surface: responsible, respectful, polite, and consistent. And by consistent, I mean that I can count on going to this guy to discuss any kind of matter, and he's never going to give me an attitude or get defensive. Because for some reason, I have dated guys that I bring up some topics, and for some reason, they have to be complete dicks about it. Like, no, I'm not trying to trap you. I'm trying to get to know you, period. And if you are unwilling to have a conversation with me, we do not need to be together. So that's it, pretty much. Just be someone who's productive, someone who's useful. You don't need to maintain me. Don't be someone who I cannot be myself around. I have been in a relationship like that, and it was the most miserable time in my life. And you guys know that I got daddy issues. That reminded me of what I imagine a life with my father would have been like. So, no, I do not need that toxicity. So, that is as basic as it gets. Just be an all around good guy. You don't need to be rich, you don't need to be hot, or the definition of hot by Western and European values. Just be someone who's consistent, nice, funny, and respectful, polite, all that good stuff. Be someone reliable, put it that way. But by reliable, I don't mean that you need to solve my problems. Because I know that some people out there look at their partners as tools. Trust me, I would make sure that I have my life sorted before I get involved with you. And if I don't have it completely sorted, at least I can handle my stuff independently. And then, if you can support me, then you can support me. But I am not going to depend on you. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, what if you had to give up your sight or your hearing? Fuck! Okay, this one is always difficult. I think about this one at least once per week. Because sometimes when I take off my glasses, I'm like, what would happen to me if I lost my sight? And when I'm listening to music or just using my hearing a lot, I'm like, it would really suck to not have my hearing. But honestly, I guess I never know what to choose, man, but I guess my sight is technically more useful to me than my hearing because at least with sight I can still be able to hear people through text, and I can also learn sign language. But I guess driving would be dangerous because I would not hear sirens, but hopefully they flash well enough to where I can catch them. from a distance. But yeah, I guess my sight is more useful than my hearing. But the problem with losing my hearing is that my speech may become affected. So yeah, it's difficult. But if I had to really quick just pick one that I think would help me lead a more satisfying life, I would have to say vision. Keep my vision. But damn, living without my music would be depressing. Closed caption for that is not gonna do it for me, and that means that I would have to give up playing music. So yeah, that would be depressing. I hope I'm not in that situation, but I also I would admire those who are in that situation and they live filling lives. Has anybody ever told you that you carry very masculine traits in the way you carry yourself? As a matter of fact, I have been indirectly told. It's been implied. But in the comment section, I have had people telling me that they're not sure that I'm a girl because I sound a lot like a guy. But yeah, to answer the question, I have been told in an like not in an actively expressed way. It's been implied that that's what the person thinks. But I honestly like to say that I take that as a huge compliment only because a lot of the people who I admire and have supplied me with my skills, confidence, and leadership characteristics have been male. So to know that their influence was so positive in me and that other people can see that, um, it makes me happy. It means that I've been sticking close to the right people. But at the same time, I hope that that doesn't mean that I have the potential of scaring away any guys or something because of my masculine traits. That would concern me somewhat. But if I am being associated by the best of the male traits, then hell yeah. I'll take it. Um, let's see. You seem very ladylike to me. I'm glad. Thanks so much. But yeah, I associate guys with being, strong leaders, builders. So to have someone tell me that I have masculine traits, I like that because it means that I'm not limited. I'm not saying that being female makes me weak or just, how can I say this? Anyways, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Whatever. But if the guy is lying, like someone just said in the comments, then okay, he's lying. But between your lie, just know that you're not the only person who has told me that lie, but another person has told me that as a matter of fact. So, yeah. Let's see. What if you had to give up your side? I just did that. What if you were at a bank and robbers came in? Oh my God. I have thought about this so many times. Every time I have gone to the bank, I always think about what I would do if I saw some robbers. And the first thing that would happen is I'll probably shit myself. And after that, I would just be compliant. Like, just do what they say. Hopefully, the bank people are just going to give them their money. Maybe that's what they're trained to do. But I'm not going to try to be a hero because I don't have the means to be doing that. So that I would just hope for the best. And that concludes one section of the what if question. So I'm going to catch up with you guys, and after that, I'm going to have to bail because it's already like about to be 5 o'clock Eastern time, and I have to get rolling. What is your dating preference? Well, if you are asking what I am looking for in a guy, just like I said earlier, but in case you missed it, I was just looking for personality traits like respectful, responsible, reliable, consistent. But to elaborate on that, if we are talking about physical traits, it has evolved so much. As a kid, I always dreamed of pretty much the Disney prince: blonde, tall, blue eyes, in shape, six pack, muscular, carries me up and down stairs. And did I say blonde? Did I say? I guess I have to specify white. And that's pretty much it. Basically, that the common European guy. But honestly, I have found myself attracted to pretty much everything. I've had unconventional crushes, and by unconventional, I mean, at least in the Western world, what would be considered unconventional again? I guess interracial relationships are becoming very popular now, but I guess at some point certain groups of people did not meet the criteria of what the beauty standard is. Like, I guess some Asian countries would be considered not the beauty standard, just like some Asian countries do not see us as their beauty standard. But because we have become so integrated thanks to the internet and traveling and all that, is there really such thing as an unconventional crush anymore? I don't think so. But by unconventional for me, I mean that I broke away from what I thought was my ideal man on a physical level, which is the guy that I just described. But I have found brothers to be attractive. I have found Native Americans to be attractive. I have found some Asian guys to be attractive. It just, honestly, it varies. It's either I like you or I don't. I'm not really going around with like a list of the things that I am looking for in a guy. It's honestly, I have fallen for guys whom I never even thought I would fall for because I simply had a conversation with them. So it's really difficult for me to paint my ideal guy now because my ideal guy seems to keep arriving at my life in different forms, shapes, sizes, colors. Um, but usually I consider a guy handsome when his personality speaks to me. Then I am able to focus on his body really. But if I'm paying attention to the body, then I have a particular weakness for blue eyes. That's it. Like, no matter how much time passes, I love me some blue eyes. But if my husband doesn't end up having blue eyes, I ain't tripping. I have never dated a guy with blue eyes. Like, I have had crushes on them, but officially, actively been involved with a blue eyed guy, I haven't. But, anyways, maybe Zam will find him. But maybe not. So, because I am not really fulfilling my childhood dream of the ideal guy as I envisioned him, I ain't tripping. I'm an adult. Stuff changes. So hopefully that answers your question because I know that I just vented on other stuff, but honestly, if you're a guy who's single and of course of legal age and you're not too old and you do not have kids and you have never been married before, you have possibilities. Well, I have to know you well, of course. But yeah. Let's see, where did I leave off? I'm just saying my perspective. What is your opinion on couples using toys and experimenting? They can do whatever they want. That is a couple that is strong, confident, open to experimentation, adventurous, and I see that as positive traits. Um, just as long as you limit those activities to just your partner, good. But if you're experimenting with other people and then trying to say that you're not cheating because the other person is not actually coming into contact with you, I would disagree with that. Hopefully, that is not something that happens, but maybe somewhere out there someone has done that and they've had that discussion, and I'm like, no, no, no. Did you ever look into Rollo Tomas's work? If you did, what did you think? I didn't, but I have it saved on the reading for later stuff. What if your new husband had a different religion? Would you convert? Why do I have to convert if I'm not forcing him to convert? So, when it comes to religion, I do not really identify with any because none of the currently existing ones really satisfy my beliefs. But I guess that if he had a religion that absolutely requires for his woman to be following it as well, we can't be together. Simple. I'm not going to force something on him that he doesn't want. So I would expect for him to not force something on me that I don't want. And if that's the kind of guy he is, we don't need to be together. Go away. Of course, I would be more polite about it, but since I'm running the show here, I'm going to express it however I want. Uh, Steve says, I have blue eyes. You do? Well, at least I don't have a face attached to you, but at least I have eyes. So I'm like, okay, Mr. Steve Tingley is just someone. It's just two blue eyes just floating around because I don't have a face to attach you to. You know, like I've never seen what you look like, but yeah, that's a cool fact. Um, yeah, that reminds me of more blue-eyed people who I know, but not making any plans. All right, guys. I believe that I am done. It's been a little over an hour now, and this was a pretty fun stream. Excellent questions. The thing that I was reading from, sorry, I need to link the link in the description. It also had interesting questions too, some of which tripped me. But yeah, you guys, I will be back at some point, and I know that I also have to catch up on that one topic about the orientation chat that unfortunately my phone kept crashing, and I am impressed that it did not succumb to its seizures. But I will try to go over that one next because the conversation was getting very, very interesting. So I will consider doing that tomorrow. I wish I could tell you at what time, but tomorrow. And if I don't do it tomorrow, y'all tell me that I am not going over the topic that I said today that I would, and I will completely cancel what I do tomorrow and go over that. So, all right, guys, as always, thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.